Marketing is really about confidence, taking massive action, and it's about implementing and strategy. One way to start, I think, will be, one thing I'll talk about definitely is about my own experiences of how I've done my own promotion and how that worked, things that worked really well. So I'll talk about a lot of traditional media that still works, and then I'll talk about new technologies as well. So, from Google to what to do on Google, how to position yourself, social networking, how to position yourself in your niche. Because what the great thing about, I'll tell a little bit about Chipmunka here as well, is what we really want over the next coming years is more and more mental health ambassadors to just really, the greater ambassador you can become, the more people that you can help, the more you can give yourself a voice, the more you can make yourself happier, give yourself a better life, a more successful life, and the more people we can help. And the utopian vision is really, there's 1 million people commit suicide every year. My aim is to make that 0. That's my mission. So, and I was, that's really what I want. I think if the whole world, if we can, in 50 years' time, if we can have 1 million authors, like 1 million people that can step forward and just say, I'm not embarrassed to talk about my mental health experiences, and somehow I managed to snap out of it and get myself better as a cathartic journey, a writing journey helped me. So the idea is that writing is cathartic and publishing is empowerment process. And the more media that we can create, the more successful that we can become, the more we can help ourselves, and the more the happier we can become as people. We can say goodbye to the diagnosis, or we can at least live and manage with the diagnosis. Myself, I view myself as someone who's cured their bipolar disorder, and I believe it's a social construct. Okay. So now as a publisher, I don't necessarily have an opinion on that, because the whole idea about publishing people is to give people a voice and let them express themselves. So we kind of have 2 or 3 different types of authors. So we have the authors that always want writing is an essential part of their therapy catharsis, okay? So, sometimes we don't know why we write, but sometimes some people love painting, some people like making music, some people like all different kinds of things, some people like running every day. So one thing I would say that is important for your mental health is there's just so many different things. So, what I found is I've been medication free since 2005. What helped me massively was personal development, was changing my unconscious mind. So when I got into neurolinguistic programming, which was created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder in the 1970s, what really helped me was just reprogramming my mind. So I changed the story that I told myself. So instead of telling myself I'm manic depressive, I'm bipolar, I'd just say, I'm cured myself, I've cured myself. I told it myself so many times that I just got better. And I used to do these ridiculous exercises. So I did so much NLP and mental health empowerment is what I call it, that I couldn't be unhappy even if I tried to, because I did so many reprogramming exercises. So it's about teaching yourself to be happier and more successful. And if you want to be successful at marketing, if you want to sell a lot of books, you've got to teach yourself that you're going to be really, that you're going to be successful. But you have to. When I met James Caan, from Dragon's Den, he really taught me strategy and implementation. So it's both. It's both strategy and implementation. It's really important. Okay. So there's a lot of theory, but I'm going to talk about implementing it as well. What I'm trying to do is to get ourselves, get you in the mindset whereby instead of thinking, I'd like to, I've written this, I'd kind of like to promote it, and then the kind of aspiration disappears. So you get rid of the law of diminishing intent, you just act on it and act on it. So that's if you've got a blog, then you just keep writing. That's a great thing about it. If you don't have a website, then you can set yourself up a website on WordPress. That's easy. If you want to buy your domains, then you should. The great place to buy them is 123reg.co.uk. So that's the number 123reg.co.uk. and they can do your hosting for you there as well, and where you can get your email addresses and all that kind of thing, or you can have WordPress for free. Then of course the most very important these days is I would recommend that everyone invests in their own business cards. It's really important. Vistaprint, vistaprint.co.uk. They do 250 for free, and then they just charge you a little bit of delivery. I had whenever I do them, I have 5,000 done at a time. It costs about 50 pounds. And I've had, over the years, I've done 200,000 of my own business cards. And positioning yourself on your business card is really important. So what I want to do is to take people away from just the concept of feeling like they're a writer and an author, but turning them into the position where they're a worldwide expert on either the mental health experiences that they've experienced, okay, but it might be that you have one diagnosis, whatever it is. Let's say if it was schizophrenia, but there's 100 other things that you've experienced at the same time. So for me, for example, when I wrote A Can of Madness, I thought, okay, so I've written A Can of Madness. This is a best-selling book about the ecstasy generation. I'm going to be a millionaire. Sorted. Nice one. Okay, that's exactly what I thought. When people write a book, they think it's immediate fame, This is what happens. But it turned into a mental health crusade, which was kind of a great thing to happen, and I'm really grateful it did happen, because having bipolar made me more sensitive as a person. It made me grow up quicker, and it gave me a calling, a kind of a significance, a way that I could make a contribution to the world. So what I really have is a challenge for everyone. So I just want us to imagine that. Let's imagine that we passed away, okay, and that we're in heaven, and it's a great place, and it's a real land, just like, wow, this is a really, really cool place. And imagine that we bump into an alien there in heaven, and the alien says, "Hi, what planet are you from? What's life like? What planet is on?" And you say, "Oh, hi, I'm from Earth." And they say, "What did you do on Earth? What was your contribution?" Excuse me? What was the contribution that you made? How many lives did you impact? What difference did you make? So I'm setting that challenge here because I want to raise the bar. I want us to push through as many hurdles as we can, and really rip open every day. So some examples of some really personal development exercises that I did. I would recommend that everyone do this, for the next year, even as insane as it sounds. I used to wake up in the morning, and I used to run in front of my mirror before I said hello to my girlfriend, before I cleaned my teeth or anything, and I would force myself to smile for 5 minutes, and I would go this, and it would be really forced, and then I would make myself smile, and then I would just burst into laughing, and then I would walk in, walk in, visualize. I'd actually do a power move, so I would do 10 front karate kicks, in front of my mirror. I would go 10 times. I'd go like this 10 times. Yeah, I'd do 10 times in front of my mirror, and like this. And then I would go, and then I would walk in. I would visualize. I love the world. I'm making the world a better place. I'm happy, and I would step into my life and envision how I would be 12 months later. So I used to, after doing this for months and months, I used to wake up in the morning my first thought would be, most of the time just run it, but every now and then I thought I'll try and be depressed today, and I couldn't be because my body was just boom, alerting, because what I'd done is I programmed my mind so much throughout the day, that's just one of so many exercises doing, that I just couldn't be unhappy if I tried, and it's just amazing. One thing that I would also really recommend to everyone is before you go to bed at night, I would recommend that everyone buys Paul McKenna I Can Make You Happy CD. Okay, it's just £9 from a bookshop. Don't forget about the book. Play the CD, I Can Make You Happy. You can get it for it's a book and CD in one. So you buy the book, the CD comes with it for free. Just play that before you go to bed at night, 20 minutes. You don't need to think. You don't need to listen to it. You just play it. And after a few weeks of that, you'll be amazed how much happier you feel. It's unbelievable. And he's got them for instant confidence, all these different things. I've become very fortunate. I got to know him personally last year because Stephen Fry introduced me, and Richard Bandler had me on stage, which was insane, you know. So he told me every time I get stressed out about work, I've just got to go like this, and then I feel better. And, you know, I was feeling better now just doing it. So, you know, there's all these signifiers, you know, and the stories we tell ourselves in life makes a real difference. So, and this applies to marketing as well. It applies to our, you know, health, fitness, relationships, how we feel about ourselves, other things that are really important and helpful. Time management, you know, goal setting is really important. So I write my goals, I have my phone on me all the time. I write my goals every day, and always have like top 5 goals, but I write my goals in the present tense. So I do them in the first person, in the present tense. And some of the goals are really simple, like I'm happy, but then I'll set very specific goals with the dates, like I'm going to have, you know, saved such and such by, you know, this date, or I'm going to, you know, have written this book by this date, or whatever it is. So all these different kind of things. Also, what we're going to talk about as well is, so really about, you know, when you're marketing, you need to be in a peak state when you're marketing. So if you don't just sit on a computer and think, oh, I'm going to promote myself, you know, go out and have a walk, okay? Drink lots of water, get hydrated. You know, don't be dehydrated. So just before you even go to your computer, you know, just go for a walk for 10 or 15 minutes. It makes a huge difference. There's this guy, Stephen Pierce, who's an American marketing expert, okay? He's an amazing story, okay? So this guy was homeless for years, and he, the guy who owned the offices would allow him to, at night, sleep in the office, okay, on the floor, basically, in the corridor. And then he'd let him have access to a computer as well. And he used to start talking about his own trading. Okay, so he used to just be interested in stock market, and he used to advise people on like a blog how to do their own trades. And after doing this for 5 or 6 months, he just stopped doing it one day, and then someone sent him an email. He's still homeless, saying, "Why have you stopped picking the trades? Why have you stopped telling me? I'll give you $5,000 if you can just tell me what you did, because I missed it this week." And what's happened is people have been doing his trades all the time, making millions off it, you know, doing his advice. So that was his first job, and then he started a membership site, and he had like $400,000 within 6 months, basically, of people signing up. So it just shows what can be done. We just really need to be as focused as we can. So I want you to take you away from the mindset of just being an author to being a business owner, entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, charity owner, whatever it is. And in order to do that, you need to look at every experience that you've had in your life and see how you can market it, that what you're comfortable writing about. Okay? So when I wrote A Can of Madness, when I wrote this, I thought, here's a book about the ecstasy generation. Okay? And, you know, that's it. I took a few E's, never came down. That'll help generations stop them to get into drugs. And then when people first started reviewing it, they thought it was a book about cannabis. So just as a result of the cannabis angle, I got one interview on Radio 5, national TV. I think I started off with an interview with Frank, you know, the government youth program. Yeah. And because I positioned myself well there, I've spoken on national radio about cannabis probably about 250 times, just about cannabis. Okay, sometimes 4 or 5 times in one day. So, you know, that's just another angle. Then as soon as I heard that, I thought, okay, then that means I can talk about being on taking speed, acid, ecstasy, and even drug driving. So like, you know, basically, whenever mental health was in the news about any of these subjects, I would harass all the mental health charities. So I became a volunteer media person for all the mental health charities, Mind, Rethink, and Sane, and Manic Depression Fellowship, all these organisations. And I would ring them up, you know, email them, you know, put them into my list and email them, you know, once every 4 or 5 days. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I can talk about. You just go to their websites, just spend 10 minutes to fill out a form, say you're available, what subjects you can talk about, and then you can position yourself. And if you're then you always get a crack at a journalist on the phone. So if you can be articulate enough, then the journalist will say, well, this person is good. I would email the journalist some useful information, a couple of paragraphs, so it helps their positioning, so it kind of gets their article off to a start. You can email them something. So if you're on a website, you've got your biography, your web page, that's good content. And then I would just keep going back to them, and I would hound the BBC health unit. So I started off just ringing at BBC, and I'll keep ringing at the health unit, and I actually rang them every day for about a year. It's a 24-hour line, and most of the time I just leave an answer message. Eventually I got through to talk about bipolar disorder, and I think the first time was on, BBC News 24, and then did that a few times, then it turned into This Morning, Radio 1, Radio 5, did a 30-minute Radio 4 programme. Just pursue them, keep telling them what angles I could talk about, so that the next time anything that I'd experienced was in the news, they knew that there was this guy, Jason Pegler, who would talk about it, and I was available all the time. So if they rang me at 9 o'clock at night, they knew that I would be there the next morning. So it was about having my mobile phone on. For 8 years, it was just there. If they phoned me at 7 o'clock at night, they knew I'd be there the next morning. They knew I was reliable. Most of the time they would pick me up. In fact, nearly all the time they'd pick me up. And then I got to a position where they can just ring me wherever I am. So I'd make sure I was from home, or they can even call me from my mobile. So you can do the same thing, okay? So what I'm saying is, I've done interviews on probably about 200 or 300 different subjects, and some of them are in this book. But then the first time I got on ITV News, I'd actually written a chapter for a book about mental health, and it was from a company that was producing care homes. They'd created a new type of care home, and
where would you find that book?
All the Chipmunka books are available. This is available on Amazon, but we've got them here today. £10. But they're available through 25,000 channels, basically. So what I'm really saying is, you can position yourself in so many different ways. It's unbelievable. And so the first time if I just go back a little bit to A Can of Madness when it started. So I would go to all these mental health conferences around the country, which are all free in the US, Ireland, UK. They're all free. You can get yourself a free place as a service user. And sometimes they even pay your accommodation as well for you to stay somewhere. I've had mine do that for me a few times. Most of the time they'll say, look, there's 20 places. If you apply before, these conferences happen every week, every day around the world. There's 2 or 3 of these conferences going on, probably 7 or 8. So you can get them to pay your travel, even if they don't do anything else. Just say you're a service user, but just letting them know in advance, a few months. Tell them you're prepared to talk about their charity. If you tell them so every time I do an interview, I would say, I might mention, Mind, and, say thank you and some good PR for them, but I would also always, have A Can of Madness on me in my hand, so that, I'd make sure that before agreeing to an interview, that the journalist, I would make sure that the journalist emails me back saying that they agree to mention my book, or I wouldn't do it.
Journalists, how on earth do you get hold of journalists?
Go to the newspaper's website.
There's journalists all over the place. You can find the great place is a Writers and Artists Yearbook, which will have, it's about £15. You can get a second-hand one, very, very cheap, like probably £3 or £4 in second-hand bookshop, or even on Amazon. And then what you can do there is they've got a list of all the newspapers, all the radio stations, all the TV and everything. And what we can actually do is, if you email us, we'll actually email you a list of them, save you typing them up. So if you just ask Will, I'm sure we can dig it out. And then you've got hundreds there to market. Now, there's a kind of different psychology with marketing nowadays. So what's really important now is you want people to opt in. So you just don't want to market to anyone. But with the media, I'd make an exception. Just hang the media anyway, because the media expect emails from the news and different kind of things. So I'll talk a lot about that later. So let's go back to 2001. I'm going to my first conference, I think, so Mind conference. And what I would do is I'd take my books with me, and I'd have them, and I'd sell each of the books there, and make a profit from the books that I bought, basically. So I'd make a profit every time I went to a seminar, but I would always get there early. So what I'd do is I'd make friends with the person who was the organizer, give them a copy, say, where can I put my books? And half of the time, they would let me, where people are entering, they'd let me sit there with my book. So I'd sold half a dozen books before the conference had even started, because they think I'm organising the conference with them, and I say, here's a book, and then I sign it. So that's half a dozen books gone straight away. And then I'd position myself and think, well, where is the best place? When's the coffee break? So I'd have my books by people where they're going to get coffee. And then like people come over and say, oh, hi, yes. And they just think you're a part of the setup, and they just, people are interested and they buy. And then I'd have like an order form as well, so that if it's a member of staff, they'd like, they buy 10 copies or something like that. So it's really positioning yourself and being in an absolute state of certainty. Because I felt very, to be honest, I was quite manic. So I was kind of on a relentless mission of passion. And just all that mania was just coming out of me, and it was all focused on selling the book, stopping people being mentally ill, basically. So there's all this kind of thing, automatic things going on. Whenever there was, when they have a conference and then they allow someone to speak, then what happens is I would make sure that I was always the first person to ask a question. So I would have my hand up, I would predict before when they were going to go to the room, and I would have my hand up like 10 seconds before. I'd always be immaculately dressed, a shirt and tie. I think this person looks pretty responsible. You must have something interesting to say. I would say, hi, my name's Jason Pegler. I'm the author of The Kind of Madness. I'm selling my books here at the back of the room. Before I even ask the question, relentless promotion. And then that was the first question. And by the end, I'd have a flood of people, 10, 20, 30, even 50 people sometimes would come over. It's already been sold, and then it's just a question of, hang on, there's 2 or 3 people who want to buy the book at the same time. So it's just maintaining eye contact with everybody, and just listening to what they're saying, making them feel good about themselves, mirroring them a little bit, like so just use their physiology, their NLP, so if you see someone slouching down a bit, then you slouch down with them, and then after a few seconds you stand up and say, hey, so it's but they feel the passion, they feel the energy that you have as well. So, and these strategies still work. And of course, when you meet people face to face, I'd always have business cards. So I would I'd get rid of a couple of hundred a day. If I met someone who's really passionate about what I was doing, I'd say, look, here's a pack. So I'll give them 100 business cards. Here you go. And and then I could measure, what was happening with this person as well. Keep in touch with them. Oh yeah, I gave them to such and such. All these kinds of things are really important. So, an essential tool is if you got your own books to sell that, we publish or print for you, it can help you. And then you've got your business cards as well. So that is traditional media, of course. Now things have changed dramatically, but all these strategies still work, going out and meeting people. I would go to lots of networking events. So I joined this organisation, Community Action Network, which is still quite popular, but there's what I would recommend more than anything, your local community where you are will have a chambers of commerce, okay? Now they'll meet once a month, and it will be like £10 to go, and it's going to be really good for you because the chairman of that person will be like a very experienced business person. You're going to meet lots of other business owners, people who are promoting themselves. They're going to be, most of them are going to be at a pretty, good level. So you're going to stretch yourself just by listening to them. You're going to pick up one thing that's really important with marketing. When you listen to other business owners, then you will learn what is successful in their marketing is very often what's successful in your marketing as well. So just because something isn't successful, it's like, different, what I'm saying is different industries, one thing will work just as well in one industry as it does in another, whether it's a direct mail, whether it's a way of communicating with an audience or a particular, gimmick or something, things will work. So it's about understanding what other people are doing, and then really just implementing it, copying it, looking at solutions. I would say the only things that you need to pay for to invest in is a business card, the books to buy and sell, and then you might need to buy a domain that's suitable, a relevant domain that people search for, okay? So the more, and hosting is very cheap. It's very, very low cost. There's not really any cost with this expert industry is what I'm talking about. So, but we'll go on to that in a while. So let's imagine that you've, if I would have called Chipmunka Publishing, if I'd have been a bit more intelligent when I started about what to call it SEO-wise, search engine optimization-wise, it would be a lot bigger than it is now. So I've just done an exercise with 47 titles. Okay, so 47 of our books that aren't selling as well as I like. I've did an exercise where I've renamed all of them so they're more searchable. Okay, how did I do that? How did I know that? Well, I looked at Google search tool, Google keyword tool, okay? So you look on that and you think of your niche. So you think about what you're an expert on. So now what you want to do is go for somewhere that has a lot of hits with low competition. So if you can find something with at least 25,000 hits a month, I would say with low competition, then that could be a really good starting point for you. I've bought some domains recently. I think I bought godsaveme.com. It's like gets 2 million hits a month. It's mind blowing the amount of traffic that's going to come through there. So the higher the better. So you can do a 3-part research. So you look at the Google keyword search tool. It will give you all the stats and the data. If you can find somewhere with 500,000, 1 million, hits a month, it's going to get traffic. And then if you can we'll talk about converting it later over the next few days. Okay, so that's a Google keyword search tool. Then you can look onto Google and you see what kind of competition is there. So when people search that, what are other people selling on there? Now, it may be that people are selling a training course, okay, or a seminar, but they're not selling a book. Or they're selling a book, but they're not selling a home study course. Or they're selling a home study course, but they're not selling an audio program, and different price points. So it might be that they're selling something for, £10, £47, £97, but no one's selling something at £997. So you've got all these different options. So there's one way that you can really. This is why you can really look out for your market beforehand. It's a lot kind of smarter way of marketing. So you can, imagine you might say, look, I want to write about this for catharsis. That's fine. That's good. But even if you're writing a poetry book, then it's what type of poetry are you writing? Now, if you're writing about, how many searches a month does Keats or Shelley get, or whatever it is, or Shakespeare. Well, if you can come up with something, quite similar and kind of a marketing idea, like the new Keats or something, or whatever it is, or Keats revealed, or or whatever it is. What I'm saying is that SEO is really important. Then look at the Google competition, and then look at the Amazon competition as well, which is really important for us with our books, okay? And you can track your own website as well through Google Analytics, which is a free tool, okay? So Google Analytics is really important. So whatever web pages you have with a WordPress, we know, on the Chipmunka website, there's about 3,000 web pages. We know every week I look at what traffic's coming from which page, how much traffic everyone is getting and which are the most popular. Also know where the traffic's coming from, if it's coming from Google, if it's coming from Facebook, if it's coming from LinkedIn, Twitter, if it's coming from referrals. I know what computers people are using. I know if they're using Internet Explorer, Chrome. I know if they're using iPhones. Just know absolutely everything. We know what countries they're coming from, how long they spend on the website. It's unbelievable, and it's a free tool, and it's just easy. You just copy and paste a bit of code and chuck it into your web page. Copy and paste, put it somewhere. It's really easy, and that's something I can explain in the 30-day follow-up to this. Okay, so what is really important there is, because most people, okay, what they'll do is, even when I wrote A Can of Madness, it was the same, but that's been my best-selling book by far, because I've promoted it, for a long, long time, okay? and it was what changed my life really. So it's just a necessity getting it out there, and it just went from there really. But even when I wrote that, I didn't really think of an audience. People write a book, and it might be the best personal journey ever, but how many people are really interested in that book? Well, people are interested in it if they've had a similar experience, okay? We know that from the books that we develop. If someone's gone through something with the same pain, and pleasure, we want to get the message out there. So what I'm just saying is, there's another way that you can do this, which is really clever as well. So you can see all these DVD products that I've developed over the last 6 months, and there's a lot more on their way that are coming out now. So you imagine you can record something as a DVD while you're talking. You can sit in front of your laptop at home, and you can even have, what I have is another computer on top. So when I read the Unlimited Confidence out, I'd already written it down, and then I was reading it from another computer behind the screen. So what I had is, I had a written product there, I turned that into a DVD, and then it became a CD and an MP3 product at the same time, and it's turned into a seminar. I'm going to do a seminar on it as well. And it will become a coaching program and a mentoring program and a training program. So you don't even need to write the book per se, although it helps, you want to plan it out, but you could just do the whole thing on audio, talking in front of a computer. All you need is a microphone. And then you've got a DVD product, a CD product. You can have it transcribed. So people will type up your book for you for like £30 for an hour. Or you can, a lot of the time with the mental health agencies, they'll do it for you for free if you can find a volunteer in a mental health charity. So, and then you've got like a home study course, an audio program, and you've got a kind of coaching program that you can do as well. So it's about pushing yourself, and this can be turned into other things as well. So I've got these here. I've got this how to cure your bipolar disorder course. So what I did is I spoke from home, from my home on my laptop, and thought how can I serve people? How can I help people? This is really important with your marketing. You've got to get out of the mindset of your own mind and start thinking about how can you serve your clients? How can you help other people? And what are the benefits for other people? This is massively important. Write down what are the benefits for other people. That's so important. When you start thinking about the audience and what the benefits are for them, then people are going to be more attracted to what you're saying, and then they're going to buy what you're saying. And try and think of giving them all free content, as much free content as you can first. So like on the Chipmunka website, there's like 60 free ebooks there. And that's, so people, when they come to our website, they know they can look at anything about any mental illness and they can identify with it, and that stops them feeling alone. Because I'm sure this is what you find with your writing as well, and will do, is that, when people read A Can of Madness, people come up to me and write to me all the time saying, as soon as I read it, I didn't feel alone anymore, because they read about someone else who'd gone through the same experiences. So then straight away you don't feel alone. You feel like you can carry on because you've got someone who's experienced. So with this bipolar manual, I thought, what is the best way that I can help everyone? I've known I got better from my own bipolar. I've learned all these things over these last 8 years since I've got better, and really want to help. So I spoke the DVD as much as I could. And then would just take a break and just stop. I'd do in 20-minute sections all the time. And then now we've got that as DVD, CD, MP3s, and I'm going to turn it into a membership website as well. So I've got some software, which is $297, and it's unlimited licenses. And I've got, because I've researched membership sites and how to do them, I know that I've written the copy myself and everything. I've got a web guy doing the content for that, and that'll be released as a, I've got similar content that'll be released as a monthly program, and I've done interviews with like NLP and fitness experts and things like this. What that is a membership site that can really pull in revenue year on year, but it needs marketing, it needs good copy and all this kind of things. So what I'm using to promote that is really a series of emails that I've written, some automated marketing software. I'm going to explain a lot more about what these are the next few days, okay? So automated marketing software is where it's really revolutionized the expert industry. So there's lots of different types. There's eye contact, which is the cheapest, probably most useful for a lot of people. Then there's MailChimp, MailChimp. Then we've got Infusionsoft, Infusionsoft. Essentially what there is, so if you look at our Twitter and Facebook, okay, so the Chipmunka Twitter and Facebook, what I did was I thought, right, how can we add value? It's not a perfect system, but it was quite useful. Okay, so I thought I'll get a volunteer I'll give them a system that they can implement. And so we've got 2 years of messages that are going out in advance through some software. Okay, so it's a quote here. They get like 5 or 6 tweets a day in the Facebook, 3 or 4 messages, and it integrates to the other social networks as well. So when we say something on Facebook, it goes onto Twitter automatically. When we say something on Facebook, it goes to LinkedIn automatically as well. So it's like instead of having to be in every social network and getting social network disorder, whatever they call it now, like, you know, or like coffee disorder, it's like it's there. And it, you know, there's times when I'm on there and we've got people, you know, conversation on there, because with social networks you need to be real, and the more real, the more value you add. But that's a way of getting a presence that can help.